Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among other things. And what we're doing is taking a look at SLP. Now, this is a very interesting one. One of my subscribers asked me to go ahead and cover, so I'm going to go ahead and see what we can do to help you all out, finding maybe a good entry point, see if it's worth holding on for a while and or just short-term, long-term, whatever the case is. We're going to look at that here today by only analyzing the technical charts. I'm not going to worry with the fundamentals, but I am very curious about this. So if you have fundamental data, please feel free to include that in the comments below, or join our Telegram community to essentially communicate with us and let us know what's going on here. I think it's a very fascinating concept. But just know this is for educational purposes only. Please always do your own research. And I'm not a financial advisor, but just know I have been in the industry for a very long time. And I really love analyzing charts. Okay, so it's kind of just something I do in my sleep. I love it. Eat, breathe, sleep, whatever the case is. It's something I like doing. Also, one very last thing, there's $25 in Bitcoin from Voyager application. Feel free to reference that as well. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right to it. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at SLP. Now, this is an interesting one. I'm looking forward to checking it out. Also, just note that if you are new to the channel, I always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first to kind of get perspective and just set a baseline to see how they impact each other. Because a lot of coins that I cover are on the Ethereum network, and of course Bitcoin is essentially the catalyst for all price movement in the market. So I think it's important to kind of reference that every time we look at the analysis, because you need to know which one is working with the other. So I recommend you do the same thing yourself when you look at your own charts for your own currency. Look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, see how they're reacting, because they'll likely be the ones to push the price in whichever direction you're hoping it will go. That being said, let's take a look. So first thing we're going to do, look at Bitcoin. And yes, again, another massive sell-off from Bitcoin. I wouldn't say this is as severe as previous. It could continue further, but thankfully it hit the 100-day moving average, tested and rejected, and it's hopefully trending back up as well, because it wasn't not as low as it was a few moments ago, of course. But the bottom line here is that we're hoping the price to come back up above 57,000, because that is a major major resistance level, previously support for Bitcoin. That is a 200-day moving average. So we want it to be above that and continue upwards and hold, because the 200-day moving average has historically been a very strong support level with a minor variance over quite a few months for Bitcoin. Okay, so we're really hoping it comes above and stays above, but that is essentially what we're looking at for Bitcoin there. Kind of normal stuff, unfortunately, but it is driving the price down for a lot of other currencies. So let's look at Ethereum next. Ethereum, effectively a very similar scenario, at least for today, but the difference is that when Bitcoin took its major sell-off back on it was the 17th, the 22nd, the 25th, you can tell it impacted Ethereum, but it returned with a vengeance, right? So it got sold off pretty hard. People jumped ship from Bitcoin to Ethereum. Price sells off a little bit more, comes back up, retrace, increase, retrace, and then massive increase. Ever since Bitcoin's been doing fairly well, Ethereum's been doing tremendously better. So it's just interesting to me how this has worked, because I mean, shoot, 2 months ago it was half price. I mean, I think this thing has jumped up a ton over the past few months, so something to be aware of. And now let's go ahead and take a look at SLP, because I believe SLP is on the Ethereum network. And what we're going to do is just take a look at the one-day chart first, and then work our way down 4 hour, and then of course onto the 15-minute chart to see if we can find a good entry point for you. Okay. So first things first, we'll look at the one-day chart, and big surprise, not a lot of information here, because it is it's recently included with Binance. So bear in mind, this is a Binance application that I'm using, and this is a trading view within that. So I apologize, we don't have a lot of data based on the charts that I'm using right now, but as you can see, sharp increase, which is pretty normal, and then a fairly normal sell-off too. So hopefully you didn't get in at the 40-cent range, but if you did, let's see if we can find a good entry point to help you average down, or hopefully some insight on if the price is going to come back up again. But not much to note here. RSI and MACD are not going to pull up for quite a while. We don't have enough data. It should be effectively the same thing for the 4 hour chart, so we'll probably just skip over this almost altogether anyways, minus the fact that we can identify Just the fact that the price did increase, slight consolidation, more increase, consolidation, sell off. So this is pretty normal and pretty standard for coin to just jump up a couple of days in a row and then to sell off for a few more days. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to look at the 15-minute chart to see if we can find any support and resistance levels, and we'll also use the Fibonacci retracement tool to kind of identify, perhaps further support and resistance levels to maybe take a good entry in the near future, and or just consider a good exit strategy if it's not looking all that good. But again, RSI right in the middle. It's very limited data because there's usually always a lag there, but in that case, not much to go on here. Kind of just consolidating. It's like a sell-off consolidation phase right now. Very normal though, so try not to be worried if you are invested right now at a higher point. There is a strong likelihood that this will eventually recover, because obviously the price increased for a reason, and Ethereum's doing really well, and I'm pretty sure this is an ERC20 token, so if this will eventually figure out its average true price and the true range narrows, which it looks like it's doing, then we should expect to see some type of breakout. It could either go up or down, but based on the previous price action, in my experience, I think it should likely trend back upwards. We'll see. Again, I don't know much about this, but just strictly on the charts, I think you're not in dire straits if you got in at this point, and hopefully you got in at this point and you're actually sitting pretty, right? We never know. It's always a gamble. So that's the 4-hour chart. Let's go ahead and look at the 15. And something to note here, of course, is the sell-off that just took place. Let's just quickly talk about that, because you can see here, sell off, and the price is corrected itself. It's testing VWAP right now, so we'll see what happens. Again, this is a volume weighted average price. It takes the average volume the last 24 hours and gives you kind of a running support and resistance line. Okay, this is the thing that I use the most. As you can see, it was tested and rejected here, but that's right around the same time Bitcoin was kind of selling off. So this whole part right here is Bitcoin doing its thing, selling off over the past 12 to 24 hours. So that basically does tell us that SLP is fairly consistent with Bitcoin, but also likely more so Ethereum, because Ethereum is selling off because Bitcoin is, right? That's the normal thing. But once Bitcoin stabilizes, Ethereum jumps up, and that could impact this as well, because this is on the ERC20 token essentially. So we should see some good things here. All right, so that is that. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other indicators here. As you can see, the RSI dropped down below 30. That is a pretty low point. You don't see that too often on the 15-minute chart, but what's nice is when it dropped down this low, it didn't go down much lower. Obviously it did because of the sell-off that occurred, and it had to correct itself. But what's nice is it didn't go under 30 here again. It basically just tells us that the price is not considered oversold or overbought at this point. So until we get over this line, it tells me that the price shouldn't go much lower at this point, unless, of course, we do see a massive sell-off from Bitcoin and or Ethereum. But it does look like things are stabilizing on that side. In fact, let's take a quick look at that. So I haven't looked at the 15-minute chart in a little while. Yeah, you can see it's creeping back up. So we'll see what happens soon, but it is under VWAP and under the 200-day moving average. So a little concerning, but I recommend not taking entry at this point unless, and I always have a clause here, because if you're a short-term day trader, or rather a short-term swing trader and or day trader, if you're holding for less than just say a 24-hour period, or even just say a 48-hour period, 2 days, it wouldn't be terrible, actually correction, I misspoke. If it is a shorter time frame, it would be terrible to take entry right now, because we don't know where the price is going to go based on the fact that it's reliant on these other two things. So the way that Bitcoin is performing right now, it's hard to say specifically. I don't have a lot of confidence in taking entry right now. What I would have confidence in taking entry in is if you are, for example, you're planning to hold SLP for a very long time. You're going to hold this for like 180 days or perhaps even for a lifetime, right? You want to go ride this out. If that is the case, then I recommend taking entry, adding to your position. Whether or not you have a lower position, higher position, average up or average down, doesn't matter. It wouldn't hurt to take advantage of this dip, because the way that Ethereum's been performing, I do feel like this could recover soon. But again, based on the technicals alone, there's not enough information here on the 4-hour and the 1-day chart to really know specifically what works best. So again, I know that probably just leaves you with more questions than answers, and I'm sorry for that. But based on what I see here so far, I don't like the thought of taking entry. But why don't we just go ahead and identify a few things first? Let's look at the support levels, see if there's any kind of helpful information that we can find that might give us better consideration of an entry point or what that might look like. So that dropped down there. There was a channel created here with a strong support. Not really. I mean, this is the only support level that I could see. Previous resistance. That would be a support level moving forward. And that would be at about 26 cents is a really close estimate. Because that was tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And since it was tested 5 times as a resistance level and eventually broken, now that it's broken and the price is above, you're going to see that become a major support level now. So if the price does continue further down, then it will likely test this and hopefully reject. So I would say that would be the bottom line here would be that 26 cents shouldn't go much lower than 26 cents. Now, since the price is still under VWAP, I don't feel comfortable about taking entry. So what I would do is if you were planning to take entry, just say as a day trader or a short-term swing trader, either wait for the price to come down and bounce off the 26 cent line and make sure you wait for confirmation. So we wait for 2 15-minute green bars. In other words, the price has to close above that line after it's tested it for at least 30 minutes and to show positive momentum moving upwards. And concurrently, the RSI needs to be under 70. If you see those two things, that'd be a good entry point. That'd be a safer signal for me personally. If you are planning to take entry the way it is right now, wait for the VWAP, the volume weighted average price here, this guy right here, to be passed. And what you do is you do the exact same thing. You wait for it to come up above and to test and see if it tries to come back below. If it does, that's fine. Wait for 2 15-minute green bars to close above that line. So right here, if you see these two right here, for example, that'd be 2 15-minute green bars. Again, it doesn't work this way because it's under the VWAP. So once it is above that volume weighted average price line becomes a support level, then at that point, you can essentially take entry. At least I found a lot of success with that over my tenure, and I can tell you that it's one of those things that is important to acknowledge. Don't just jump in because, oh, the price is low, it's not going to go any lower. Wait for the confirmation because it literally can go much lower. There's no doubt about that. I mean, a lot lower, maybe not, because I do feel like this is a pretty strong support level at 26 cents. But why risk it, right? If you're going to be just kind of trying to get in and out today, and you're trying to gain that 3, 4, 5%, then you may as well wait for confirmation if you're going to do that. However, if you're just trying to add to your position and trying to find a good entry for a long-term, just say swing trade that's over a month long, then it might be worth considering taking entry soon, because really that's not, you're not going to be, out of sorts essentially with an entry right now. Okay. So again, that's just general thoughts there. Hopefully that again didn't add more confusion to you, but this isn't like the cleanest, the best charts to look at right now. It's kind of messy, if you will, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that Bitcoin and Ethereum just kind of sold off by a good 3 to 4% in the last 12 hours. That doesn't help this, but what's nice is the fact that it doesn't look like it's impacting it much longer. There is a strong support level directly below where the price is right now. It's like only 3 cents off. So I don't think it's in terrible shape, but just wait for confirmation above the VWAP and or testing the support level at 26 cents and then bouncing above, closing no less than 2 solid 15-minute green bars over a 30-minute period. So that's what I would do. I would approach it that way. But again, just be careful, be cautious, always wait for confirmation and make sure that you are using all your indicators right. Never get in when the RSI is too high, or if it's too low, make sure you have confirmation first. All right, well, that's all I have for now. We'll go ahead and cover this again later, hopefully with some better information, more information, because charts like this that are so abbreviated, it's hard to really extract some really good plans because of the fact that it's doing what it's doing right now. All right, so I hope you found that beneficial. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Goodbye.